in-person sessions, we will be using Scratch to explore the interconnectedness of systems. Scratch is a free educational programming language designed by MIT. It allows you to build programs by dragging and connecting blocks of code. This prevents a typo from throwing off lines and lines of code, but it still requires the user to think about syntax and systems. Scratch can be accessed by visiting the following URL: scratch.mit.edu. Once there, you can view existing projects, or you can begin working on a creation of your own by selecting the word Create in the upper left corner. We're going to dive right in and check out the Scratch interface by clicking Create. When you open this up, you'll notice that Scratch has its own toolbar, where you will find familiar options like File and Edit. The right-hand corner is where you can log in or create an account if necessary. The interface of Scratch breaks into 3 columns. Let's examine the first column on the left. Your project for the first time will be titled Untitled. It will be untitled unless you click in this title bar and give it a more clear name. You may want to use versions in your titles so that you can play around with future iterations of your project without affecting an original version of your project. Surrounding the title bar, you have the full screen option, which zooms in on the game itself and removes the coding from the user's view, as well as the green flag and red stop sign options, which run your programs and stop them, respectively. Below this area is the stage. The stage is where all of the objects in your game are placed and they're put to work. The default object in Scratch is this sprite, this cat sprite. It's named Sprite 1. All objects in Scratch are referred to as sprites. This can include your character, but it can also include inanimate objects, such as props that you need to give instructions to, like trees or dishes. You can click and drag things around on the stage, placing them and dragging them wherever you want. Below the stage is the sprite management area. The left side has the stage area, where you can change the background. You can choose a new one from the Scratch library. You can choose one from a file by uploading a photograph from an existing folder, or you can paint a new one by freehand. You can also use your web camera, so take a picture of yourself, I guess. You can click on this stage, and over here, which we're going to look at later, this transforms into an area where you can write code for the background. Your sprites will be listed in the box to the right. Again, you can upload a picture from your webcam, or you can choose one from a folder on your computer. You can paint one on your own with freehand draw tools, or you can choose a sprite from the library. So if you want to add or create new sprites in addition to this default one, you can choose that using these options. As you build your project, you'll be using a lot of sprites. You may want to click on the eye that hovers in the left-hand corner of the sprite's thumbnail and give it a more specific name. Sprite 1 and Sprite 2 will all begin to sound alike when you get up to Sprite 120. The second column here has all of the blocks that you will need for programming. With the Scripts tab selected, you'll see all of the blocks of programming and coding from which you can choose. Since Sprite 1 is selected, the cat, I can give him instructions by dragging blocks in, such as move or switch to his next costume. I will need to trigger an event to trigger this response, so I can select one of the starter blocks from events. If I choose these events, I can start building together a program that will be executed on the stage. You'll notice these starter blocks have rounded edges on the top, while some of these programming blocks have these notches that need to be filled in. Without a starter block, a code will never become active. Without a starter block, a code will never become activated. Also in the second column, I can choose a different tab. By clicking on the Costumes tab, I can find the sprite's costumes. I can possibly make the character look like he's moving by employing a flipbook effect. The good thing about choosing a character from the Scratch library is a lot of these characters come with costumes that make it look like he's moving. Or, if later on I want the character to look entirely different, but utilize the same coding, I can add an entirely different costume by uploading from a file or choosing from the costume library. Sounds associated with the object are located under the Sounds tab. Here we see the default sound, in this instance it's the meow, but you can upload a sound of your own, just like pictures, or you can even record your own voice. If we go back to the Scripts tab, this third and final column will make sense. This is where we build the program. Earlier I wanted an event to trigger my cat to move, so I go to Events and find this When Green Flag Clicked option. I drag it in, and I can place it on this area. Then, by building onto the program, I can say when the green flag clicks, I want it to move 10 steps, and also cycle to the next costume, allowing it to look like he's moving. Once the program is built, I can right-click to clean everything up and make it look neat. This will be a huge asset as you start building more complex programs. When it looks nice and organized, I can click the green flag to test out my program. As you can see, it works. When I click the green flag, the cat moves. I could also add sounds if I liked. To delete anything we don't want, we can right-click on it and select Delete. This works for code, but it also works for sprites. What I recommend for you to do upon the completion of this video of Phase 1 is to set up your stage. Choose pictures for your sprites, upload scenery for your background, place everything you want just right. You should save it once you're done with an accurate title. I also recommend using version 1 so that later on you can design version 2 without messing up your original iteration. This will prevent you from corrupting everything that you've worked so hard to set up. Good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.